Hello and welcome to the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. My view of humanity is a whole new tea. Okay, so I'm getting into writing my characters and kind of diving more into my villain. And yes, it's taking me forever to write this novel, but yeah, if you listen to my last episodes, and okay, well, first, hi, hello, how are you? If you're brand new, I am the handicapable black woman. I talk about everything from politics, a lot of politics lately because, yeah, the elections, and current events, disability, laws, public, like relation things, and advertising gone wrong. Also, if you like things all pure nerdy, go to the Handicapable Black Nerd channel. I try to post something every Saturday or every other Saturday, but basically, I also do. Yeah, I know this is a lot of stuff at the same time. Probably kind of messy, but my YouTube channel is as messy as me. So here we go. I'm gonna get back to Reddit, I promise, but also catfish. Yeah, I've been studying the catfish culture because, well, watching the show, and then there's also YouTubers that monitor the shows and everything. But then I started, like, since I guess I've been watching it, I started getting things on Netflix and YouTube with documentaries on it. And so then and on Scout and Meet Me, I was getting so many catfish, and especially during COVID, and I started seeing patterns. So yeah, that's kind of something nerdy. So I just posted one yesterday, which I'm gonna dive a little deeper into that one, but I at least wanted to post his pictures because if I can help somebody, that's all that matters. And yeah, it's like, yeah, anyways. And with a lot of my episodes, once I get a mic, I'm gonna redo. I just got kind of a supporting message from somebody. It's like, I know the noise and the quality is not the best, but while living with a disability, a newly diagnosed disability, and having to spend almost all of your money getting diagnosed and then spending money for equipment and things like that so that you can live somewhat of a normal life, and looking up nonprofits, and yeah, let's just say, like, some people who judge people on disability or with disability, and they claim that they're lazy. Having a disability for some feels like a full-time job because, like, you always have to monitor your medications when the prescriptions are due, and then like your pain levels, the diet, and it's just like the equipment, like physical therapy and other, like, your doctor's appointments, medical needs, and mental health. Because yeah, I'm getting off top, or well, this will lead because since my main character has a disability, it kind of leads into the topic or whatever. But it's just kind of complicated because, especially when dating and getting into public, having people stare at me, and or people coming up, oh, let me pray for you, I'll heal you, and it's like, you're too pretty to walk like that, I'll have you walking better in no time. Or even when I was in Disney, I'm going to tell the full Disney story pretty soon. I haven't because, well, my mind's been crazy busy with everything. But I was at one restaurant, and literally three different guys coming up to me. When are you going to go and get surgery? You need to get that fixed soon. You're too pretty to walk like that. Oh, you're so beautiful. Why do you allow yourself to walk like that? And to the point where I I couldn't wait to leave that restaurant. It's like, it was my first day at Disney too. And so I already had my heart crushed, and I just got there, and the thing was, I was so, like, I'm a Disney nerd. I'm a full Disney nerd. I love Disney, and I don't like the capitalism and some of their practices, but I love the creative, like the child at heart, the pure creativity of it and everything, which why I love writing and creating characters, which this topic is going to be on. But yeah, it's like, sometimes that those people don't realize, like, they showed a little of their villainy. They showed a little bit of their bad side. because, and to them, they feel like they're the hero. They feel like, oh, I was just helping her. I was letting her know that it's like, since she's so beautiful, man, I was motivated. Like, because some people see it as they're motivating me to become better, to become quote unquote normal in their eyes. But at the same time, they don't realize, in my eyes, they're making me know that I'm not good enough. I'm not worth their time, that I need to be worked on, that I need to fix myself before I am in their presence, that I am an annoyance, or that I deserve pity. Those are the kind of things that come in my mind when they try to, especially like, and I understand, I'm from the church, I am a Christian, but my Christian identity is changing. But when the people come up trying to lay hands on me, and the ignorant thing like, oh, I bet your parents were so upset when they found out. Okay, yeah, you just made, yeah, you don't know the family trauma that I've been through. So it's like, now thanks for reminding me. Thanks. So, but it's just like those kind of comments where one comment can label you and put you into either the hero or the villain. And also, I want to make sure I brought this up because sometimes when people do mean things or say something rude or have a awful, evil opinion, oh no, but I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian. I'm in faith. I'm a Catholic. I'm like whatever religion. And part of me wants to go to the dictionary or in the encyclopedia and look like, does Christian equal hero? Does Catholic, does Muslim equal hero? Because you practice a book, does that automatically make you a good person? No. I know of a lot, or sometimes I hear a lot of stories where the men go to church every Sunday with their wives, and but when they're at home, they might, or I mean, and it could be the wife too. So okay, I'll say spouse. It's like you might see them with bruises. Oh, I fell down the stairs, or just something crazy or whatever, and you're like, no, either he threw, yeah, so but even like religiously, being a certain religion does not make you the hero. It does not make you a great person. You can be a good person just because you're a good person. Because I know people, I remember when I was younger and I had a friend who was an atheist. And like my parents would, like, whenever I had a friend, oh, are they Christian? Are they religious? If And one time I was like, no, she's an atheist. You better not hang around her anymore. She's no good. What? And I don't know. That really, like, now that annoys me highly because that was one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life. And even current day, when I had to go through the surgeries when my mom passed away, most of my Christian friends didn't want to be bothered with me. But some of my atheist friends called me, texted me, checked up on me, or when I told them that my mother was diagnosed with cancer, they at least checked up on me, or even after the funeral, they they were like, "Well, if you ever need me or whatever," and I appreciated that. But so, and I know that's only one example, but especially like when you create your character, there is no stereotype with who is good and evil. Because even with my dating standards, I have already dated enough men who have been in the criminal system. I've learned that I should not be with, and no, that's a no-no for me. But does that mean they're villains? Does that mean that they're bad? Some of them might have learned their lesson. Some of them it might have just been a mistake. So I'm no, but some of them might still be villains. Yeah, some of the ones yeah, because when you ask out a girl that and you told her about your criminal history, but then you said that it's all done and you're not going to do it anymore, but then you break up with her because you're he continues doing it and he doesn't want you to get caught up because now he feels guilty because he sees that you're working on children's books and that you're building a business, and he knows that if it gets you arrested, that's going to ruin your life, your career, your goals and achievements. Yeah. And then also Mr. Lockakey, the two times he literally tried to get me arrested on purpose because since he had a criminal history, but he knew I was working on my second master's, he knew that if he could get me arrested, I would be in his shoes and that it would be harder. It would make my life difficult, like his life, even though I have not committed any crimes or been in the system. He was trying to get me into the system. And so he was trying to force me into being a villain without me doing the work of the villain. So, when it comes to writing the book, though, what details? What's their villain story? Is a villain born or made? What kind of personality does a villain have? Because even when you hear about the serial, can I say killer? Like, okay, well, doesn't matter. It's like when it comes to serial killers, it's like a lot of them are shy, are quiet. With some of the school shooters, there's a pattern. A lot of them either go, like, they either go to church or, but some of them are either teased or they stand out, they're not popular, or they had a really hard time at home being picked on, and they had their limits. What is your villain's limits going to be? How is their anger tolerance? How is their patience? And what is going to tick them off? Because who is the villain's villain? Because that's an interesting one too. Who is going to be our villain's villain and why? Is it jealousy, envy? They call it the seven deadly sins for a reason. Or is it going to be something totally different? Can it be for love? Because, oh, there's some villains who, oh, they will make you love them, force you to love them, even though that's the last thing you want to do, but they will make you. So, but even politically right now, we have Trump, who, to me, he is an absolute villain, but for some, he is a hero. He is a complex character, but a not complex human being. And that's an interesting one because having someone who is not complex, but the way that he created his identity towards people, the way he's able to advertise himself towards people is translated in so many different ways and angles, and there's so many people who are speaking for him, but it's almost like telephone, so everyone's saying it in so many different ways to the point where everyone's getting their own translation of who this person is, and that's complex. And in a novel, in a story, like, how do you create a character like that? What's the base of that character, their upbringing? How are you going to make it such a complicated situation? How many, like, how many ways are, like, or how many characters do you get to hear from, points of view? because some are going to see him as bad, some are going to see him as good. And for some, they know, well, in my opinion, they know he's bad, but they love the power so much that they're putting the bad to the side in order to get the power. And so then, what would that character be? Is that the mega boss? Because if you have a villain that is doing so many things, like, people, well, anyways, like, I don't know, it's just, now I'm kind of thinking of how with, well, maybe I should use a different example, but it's something to think about in a way, because even when it comes to a lot of books, like when you look at, or even movies, race, nationality, and things, we have stereotypes. And sometimes, or I know sometimes with my stories, since you only hear me and you don't, I've actually have shown you one of my dating nightmares, Tomas. Sometimes when I tell that story, people picture a black man because he was in prison and he is now part owner of an auto shop, and he has a son, but he doesn't, or he sees him, but not all that often. And then, so yeah, I don't know. It's just, but he's been, like, he was in prison twice, I believe. Forgot, like, I think it was like 10 years, 10 to 12 years altogether. But it's just kind of, it's interesting because on paper, when you write down the character, who are people going to imagine and picture? And that's another reason why I am going to tell you the nationality of each character, because I don't want, like, especially stereotyping. No, no, no. And I know I have to be careful with that because I have characters in the LGBTQ community, and it's like I based it off of one of my friends who is LGBTQ, but I know when one of my students read it, they said that I was in some ways not mocking, I'm trying to remember the term, but maybe mimicking, and I did not mean to. So I went back and I started changing that character. And so, and also, I know someone else read one of my, or a few of my chapters, and they automatically thought that one of the characters was the villain, and I asked why, and they said it was because of well, it was my Hispanic character, and I was shocked, and they, let's just say it started a really interesting conversation, but, and I'm not going to say what race well, there's more than one, yeah, there's more than one villain, so that's the thing, and it's a series, so, but what's going to make your villain 3D? Because I've seen some villains where it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, they're bad to be bad, whoop-de. And then some where it's like, okay, well, they're bad because they're bad, but then at least I know this about their family, or, but how am I going to level up to the point where you're just kind of like, okay, I I either can't stand or I love the villain, and I understand the villain, and I know why they're doing what they're doing. How do you get to that point? And even politically, like, how do you guys see Trump? How do you guys see Kamala? Because I'm not saying Kamala's perfect, but in that scenario, I see her as the hero. Oh yeah, yeah. Let's just say counting the hours. But there are some people who, uh, watching some of the mm, recordings and speeches on YouTube, when now people are writing that she needs to get her pimps, and they're saying you're not really black. And I'm trying to think of some I that won't be too far, but yeah, some people you could tell they got eliminated because one person you saw the N word, then you saw it disappear real quick. Um, that only happened once or twice, but and then, well, let's just say I'll leave that there. So yeah, some people see her, like some people are gonna see Trump as the villain, some see Kamala as the villain. It depends on your perception. It depends on how you see them. It depends on who you heard, or it depends on how you got the information. Because some who gathered their information from Fox News gonna get their information a certain way, Twitter a certain way, and most news stations like same thing, and et cetera, et cetera. There's so many different sources now, and some have real facts and information, and they have their receipts to show their information. And then you have some that even they will admit that it's because that's what they think, that's what they heard, and but they have nothing to classify. They don't have the evidence in front of them that will verify everything that they have said. And so, should I have someone like that because in my in my story, even, it's like, how is the main character going to realize that they are the villain? And how does the villain stand out but then also stay at a distance at the same time? Because right when you turn the first page, you don't want to know that they're a villain. That spoils it. You kind of want it to creep up. You kind of want either, and then maybe even to be fooled. Because one moment you don't think they're the villain, but then you do think that they're the villain. But then it looks like a mistake. So then the main character might have to, yeah. So what would you do? What would happen? And I mean, what would make the climax the best quality? And especially, how would you tie in the villain with that scenario, with that climax, with the reality of who they really are? But who they really are could be seen differently from different angles. It's like their grade school teacher might say they did their homework, they were quiet, they were a great student. And then when they had their first job, they never wanted to work. They always came late during breaks. They talked about all of the employees behind their back. They never cooperated. They never came to the meetings and things like that. So it's like, it depends on who you talk to. It depends on even the time of day. I know people who, if I want information, you wait until after they drink their coffee. And for some, you wait until after the third cup of coffee. And then or they're going to sound like a villain until that third cup of coffee, You know. But what makes a good villain? Or what makes a bad villain? It's like, which way do you want a bad villain or a good villain? And how are they going to develop? Is it better that the villain develops in a good way or a bad way? In which direction would that move the main character? And would it be better if the main character loses it or is tempered, or if you see a little bit more of their humanity, a little bit more of their imperfections because of that villain. Because that's what villains do the best, right? They mess up your day, they distract you, they make you feel like maybe that that day is just not your day, like giving up. You never know. So, but just some things that I've been thinking about while rewrite, like not rewriting, but I'm adding chapters after I wrote the novel. I realized, I think I wrote parts of 3 novels right now. So I'm digging in and I'm digging into the villain, but also my main character, because now I'm trying to figure out what's gonna make the villain tick off to the point where it nudges and ticks my main character. Because I think that will be a better read. If I'm able to get that nudge, if I'm able to get that her agitated, or at least hmm, or at least get her to the point where she realizes I've had enough. I've had enough. And sometimes when there's more than one villain in different aspects, maybe my villains need to duck. Or at least wait until there's an explosion. I'll say that. But this is the Handicapable Black Woman Throne Room. I am a woman, I am of color, and I am handicapable. But most importantly, I am human, and you're human too. If you're writing any projects or anything, let me know what makes a good villain, what makes a good hero, and can you have a bad hero and a good villain? But, anyways, I'll keep talking about this because it's November. So, yeah, there's actually a few projects that, but I need to finish this one. But there's a couple projects that's been on my mind constantly. So, I'm trying to get the ideas out while I can. And you guys need to too. Don't be like, make sure you get your project started and your goals achieved. Take care.